In this video, I want to introduce you to a simple method for professional IT troubleshooting. I call it the OODA method. Now, what's a professional? A professional is somebody who uses an approach that is shared by other professionals. It's shared, and because of that, it is reliable, it is more consistent, and it is above all more scalable. Amateurs do it on their own way. They're individuals. They do it for the love of it. That's what the word amateur means, for the loving. They can be faster or better than professionals. Maybe, maybe not. But the bottom line is, alone you go faster, together you go further. That's what professionals do. Go together. Step 1. Observe, or in Dutch, waarneming. What do you see that you don't expect? Or what do you expect that you don't see? Here's an example. This is what we see. This, however, is what we expect. It's not the same thing. The result of this step is a description of the situation that can be replayed or at least reviewed by somebody else. And a test you can do or an exercise you can do is write something down and then give it to somebody else to see if they actually can understand it and can move to the next step. You want to record all of these steps in what I call your OODA log. This is your breadcrumb trail. You meticulously log every action and every result as it happens, maybe even before it happens. You want to prefix those with a capital O in the text file. And you want to copy and paste and link whatever it is that you observe from the systems that you're working with. At the beginning of the log, at the start, you will title your problem. You also explain your objective, what it is that you're trying to reach, what is your definition of done, so to say, your first author name and starting date of this process. You also want to have a section, a TLDR, that you will update with the progress whenever you take a break. I'll talk about that in a moment. It is really convenient to have this on a shared file like MS Teams or Google Drive or whatever it is that works for you. You really want somebody else to give them a chance to help you. That's what being a professional is all about. The next step is hypothesize, or in Dutch, veronderstelling. You want to research the possible causes of the observation. What caused what you see? An example could be based on your own model of how it should work, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. You could also Google or Stack Overflow an error message if you're completely clueless, like everybody does. You can refer back to your own earlier OODA logs that have a similar problem. You can ask somebody. But in any case, you want to document your search keywords and possibly also the Google or Stack Overflow links that look the most promising. The result of this is a credible idea, a believable idea of what might actually cause that observation. And again, somebody else should be able to understand that reasoning. And more than one idea is actually better. Now, hypothesizing might involve doing additional experiments that may not solve the problem, but that will give us new observations as input to the whole story. Let's have a look at how we can create a hypothesis that are based on how we think it should work. So on the top right, again, we're not connected to the internet, and our mental model is something like, okay, we're not connected. My phone is connected to the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is connected to the home router. The home router is connected to the internet. Each of these things could be broken. So those are then 3 hypotheses. My phone is not connected. Next question, how do you test for that? That will be a diagnostic or a setting on your phone. You have a look at your phone. Does the phone think it is connected? And you can make up your own approaches to testing any of the other hypotheses. Let's get into an example, a different example. The Linux, we're typing more readme and we're getting an error message. Permission denied. Now, that's an observation, right? It's very likely not what we want to see. So we can hypothesize what's going on here. What could possibly be wrong? And we can think about what will give us a little bit more information on that situation, on that observation. I'll get back to this example in a moment. Step 3, we decide on a couple of courses of action. Write down the best actions that you can think of in your OODA log and before you actually do them. Good actions are hypothesis driven, they are easy to execute, they have quick turnaround, they are informative, and most of all, they are potentially successful. Now, sometimes, or most of the times actually, this involves a trade-off because things that are easy to execute don't necessarily give us a lot of information, and things that are really informative could take a long time to do. So this is where the art still comes in. The result of this step is a couple of these actions, again, replayable by somebody else. Somebody else could actually do them. And if we're into a really large scale troubleshooting activity, we might actually parcel these actions out to different teams to figure out. In summary, every course of action should either solve the problem or give us more relevant information. Step 4, the final one, act, do in Dutch. We take our best shot and we document it. We make it traceable and replayable. For example, in a software development environment or maybe in a GitOps environment, we record a specific Git commit ID so that we know what we did. So we can play it back. We figure that out. That's what version control is about. You also want to record the results of the step before you proceed and move into the loop again. The result of this is an executed intervention, something that you've actually done, and that leads us to a new observation. And as I said, you include the details that a competent person needs to replay this. We want to use the OODA log in every step. If there's a URL, you copy it in there. If there's a screenshot that you can take that's relevant, put it in there. You want to copy paste command lines. In fact, my suggestion, my habit as a matter of fact, is to type the command line into my OODA log, paste it into the system rather than the other way around. That makes it more reproducible. If it was wrong, I just copy that thing again. I copy that thing and fix it and try again. You also want to include any rabbit hole that you took for a couple of reasons. It's a warning for somebody else. Kids, don't try this at home. But it might not be a rabbit hole after all. Or maybe when you have a slightly different approach, there is some value in there. You also want to proceed all the lines that you have with an O or an H or a D or an A as appropriate to the situation. You might also want to consider a different style or color for computer output to distinguish between actual observations and stuff that you've typed in from somewhere else. You also want to name your documents in a consistent way so that you can retrieve them later. The log and the date and the topic are the most important things. Back to a small example. Our observation is permission denied. Now, thinking this through, as a Unix expert, we might go like, okay, hypothesis 1, the file has the wrong permissions. Another hypothesis is, we may not be the user that we think we are. What is a course of action that checks the first hypothesis? Well, that would be easy. That would be ls minus l, although there's probably a couple of other ways of doing this. And then as a result, we see that the file has permissions 000, which basically means that you can't do anything with it. And that explains the observation. We know how to fix this, or we can derive ways of fixing this. That's another iteration in the loop. At every OODA log, once we've made some progress, we want to have a TLDR paragraph at the top. It summarizes the problem, it summarizes the status of where we are, and if there's a solution, we give the gist of it. For anybody interested in more details, they'll dive into the document. And I tell you, these documents can become long. You also, once you're done, you have solved the problem or you decided it's a 100% dead end, you want to create a lesson learned out of that document. You want to clean it up by doing two things. One is to cross out any dead ends. Don't delete them, cross them out. You want to show that you took the path and it actually didn't work. That's valid and important information. You also want to make it more self-contained because typically you forget to put in things that after a couple of weeks you go like, what was that again? So the big idea of the OODA method is by executing specific technical interventions, we achieve desired and planned results. And we do that by being conscious of what are our desired results. What are our technical action options? Make them explicit. Be explicit about our planned actions. And as a result, we can achieve more reliable performance as well as work with and teach other people. I know this reflection takes practice. Being a professional is a process, not a state of mind. In summary, the OODA loop starts with observe. Then we hypothesize what could cause that observation. We decide what we want to do to change the situation. We'll actually execute that intervention, which will lead us through to new observations. Once we have an observation that we're happy with, we can stop. Otherwise, we'll go through the loop a couple of times. And again, practice makes perfect because you still derail every now and then. I hope this was helpful. Like and subscribe. Good luck with your troubleshooting, and thanks for watching.